joining us today on the Man Blitz. I'd just like to take a moment to remind you to follow us on Twitter at Man Blitz. Visit us at www.freemanblitz.com. You can listen to us on Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcast, Breaker. And don't forget to view us on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe and hit the like button. Thanks, guys.
Hey, guys. Welcome into another episode of the Man Blitz. You got Queasy, you got Andrew, you got myself, Jeremy. We're going to be doing the college episode. So we are going to be doing the Week 3 SEC recap, and that's Week 6 for everyone else. And then we'll have a look forward to Week 4 for the SEC and the top 25, all the games that we had, which is technically Week 7. So if this had been a normal year, we'd be in Week 7 of college football.
It's so confusing trying to keep up with SEC separately from some of the other divisions. It's just
very strange. It's very weird. Everybody's on a different week because they all started at different times. Big Ten starts this weekend or
this weekend?
Yeah.
This weekend.
Yeah.
So that'll be pretty cool. So anyway, let's just jump right into it.
Yes.
Did you guys have any crazy games that you wanted to talk about? Of course, me and Andrew obviously had our game.
Yes, I wanted to talk about the Georgia-Tennessee game.
Georgia-Tennessee game.
Georgia-Tennessee game.
Now, let me just take a minute and try to calm myself down because even throughout the week, I've been like it just eats away at me.
Okay.
So let me be real with you guys for a minute.
Be real.
Jeremy didn't speak to me Monday.
I did not.
Yeah, he's a
And
Tennessee fan.
me and Jeremy Queasy, we're tight. We're bros. Yeah. Jeremy did not speak to me. Today he spoke to me, but everything was real snarky, so we're making improvements.
So I mean, let's just be honest.
Giving you the finger is not talking to you.
Communication.
Sign language.
So yeah, it is ridiculous. It is what I feel like anybody that's listening can kind of identify with. It's a lot of emotion in a game. You put your identity with a team. And even though you have absolutely zero amount of input or effect on any outcome in that game, I'm not a part of the program. I'm just a fan. But it really does eat at me so much to when after a loss or even a win, I have to look at myself and think, why is it affecting me so much? But, man, that game pissed me off.
Jeremy, if I may interject, let me jump in here if I may. And I'm saying this because I'm an outside fan. Because I know both of you are passionate about your teams. When I watched the game, it was a very good game. First half, back and forth, very tight. A potential of an upset with Tennessee. It was great. And then, of course, the second half came about, and it was just, to me, it wasn't Georgia that beat them. It was mainly Tennessee's quarterback, which came out with fumbles and interceptions that sunk them down to a hole of no comeback. I think it was 3 turnovers within that one quarter. Just led them down the wrong path. And of course, Georgia pulled it out with a win, deserved to win. But it was definitely a better game should have been a better game than it was.
Well,
so I can definitely see how passionate you were with Tennessee. I would be even angrier by seeing how close it could have been, but yet ended up so ugly.
Well, to Tennessee's credit, their defense, I feel like, played very well. But towards the end of the game, you could see they were just like getting winded and discouraged because the offense wasn't doing anything to help them out.
Right. And I'll say all the credit to Georgia. There's a reason that Garantano had a bad second half, and it was great adjustments by the coaching staff. And that front seven of Georgia's legit, probably the best that we'll see, probably the best that any team that goes against will see. And our offense just got whipped. I mean, even in the first half, we went into the locker room winning. Tennessee was winning. It was like 23-21. But it was by gift touchdown. The Georgia center snapped over his head, and Stetson Bennett tried to knock it out of the end zone at the 5 or whatever he was doing. I'm not real sure. And we kind of hit it and recovered it for a touchdown. And then we had 2 huge splash plays, with good throws from JG down the field to Josh Palmer. But there was no run game, and that was one of my staples in that game is we have to be able to run the football, and we couldn't. Our offensive line, which I've been touting as the best in the nation, looked like garbage. And they had a little bit of injuries, blah, 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 no excuses. They looked terrible, and they got whipped. And all props to Georgia. That defense is legit. Our defense played very well, kept us in it for a while, but they were overwhelmed, especially on offense. We couldn't get anything going, and I blame mostly Chaney and the coaching staff because they didn't scheme correctly. If the scheme was we're going to line up against Georgia's talented front seven and run it straight at them and hope it works, because there was no plan B, it didn't look like – I don't know what else they had going for him.
Yeah.
And Pruitt even said he wasn't even planning on putting in another quarterback, which to me kind of makes sense because they couldn't protect Garantano, but at least put somebody else in that can run a little bit or give some spark. But I'm done with the game. I'm done with it. I'll get pissed off and I'll ramble forever, and that's not what we want. So
yes.
all props to Georgia. Did fantastic.
I will say I'm going to do the same. I'm not going to ramble on about Georgia. We've got Alabama coming up this next week, and that's something we'll talk about here in a minute. It's bound to be a huge game. But that front seven, like you said, I looked up – Jeremy and I had a bet outside the show about the rushing yards that Tennessee would put up, and I felt like I saw, more rushing yards than I actually did. But the stats say -1, and I think it's because of a lot of negative plays.
It was.
But, I've never – seen that.
They had -1 rushing yards for the game?
-1.
Yeah.
I saw a really funny meme that even as a Tennessee fan and even being super pissed about the game, I still laughed out loud with that meme that was like they left with the same amount of rushing yards as Cade May's dad left fingers.
With fingers.
Georgia.
-1.
That's funny.
That's funny.
Oh,
it's messed up, but that's funny.
God. But anyway,
final score is 44-21,
Yeah.
and we just got outclassed. We got outmatched. That defense was too much. It was too much.
There are many more games to recap, so
right.
to keep Jeremy from blowing his top, we're gonna talk about the one that probably will make him the happiest out of all these games we can talk about.
Florida
Texas A&M, number 21, upsetting number 4 Florida at Kyle Field.
That makes you feel good.
Fun fact, the quarterback Kyle Trask claims that he was named after Texas A&M's Kyle Field. So that makes it all the sweeter.
Yeah, it said he grew up a Texas A&M fan. His parents are fans. And, that's why he's named Kyle. It's very weird. That whole game, I watched it bits and pieces as much as I could right before the Tennessee-Georgia game.
Yeah.
And was just amazed that game was going the way it was because Texas A&M has not been playing well. And it really pretty much points to the fact that they made that Spiller kid for Texas A&M look like a Heisman candidate. And where in the world is Florida's defense? They're gone. Where are they at? This is 3 weeks now where everybody's just left scratching their heads about the defense. The offense is fantastic. They're putting up well over 30 points a game, but where's the defense?
Isaiah Spiller, he had 174 yards. That's insane.
Rushing. That's crazy against the Florida defense, man. Defense has been Florida's MO for ever since Spurrier left, basically. It's what's made them a good team.
Yeah.
Even when they had a good defense.
It's been hot butter this year.
Well, the final score was 41 A&M, 38 Gators, and A&M won it on a field goal.
I will say that Florida fumbled to give them that opportunity. So Florida was in that game. Florida had not have had that fumble, and they should have driven down the field and had the chance to win. And they gave that game to Texas A&M. So I know a couple Florida fans that would be remiss if I didn't speak on that.
Yeah. Give me another game, Andrew.
I got you, man.
The next huge upset that we have is now unranked LSU losing to Missouri in Columbia. Final score, 45-41 Tigers. Missouri Tigers. They're both Tigers.
So this upcoming game is against Florida for LSU, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but it's kind of the same MO as Florida. Their offense looks pretty good. They're not that far off where they were last year in all reality, as much as points per game. But where's their defense? And I'm pretty sure if their defense comes out and allows the same amount of points, I'd look for that defensive coordinator to no longer have a job come Sunday morning.
I'm sure Stingray is somewhere yelling, "This is our year."
He's hooting and hollering and ringing his Missouri bell. Wait a minute.
Hey, he's doing the same, man. But they got a big win with beating LSU.
Hey, Missouri looked better than they did the week before.
Missouri's defense stood up LSU's offense at the end of the game to at the goal line to finish it up. So like props, man.
Definitely.
But let me throw this out there.
Go ahead.
Okay. So Missouri has a new head coach. They have a new quarterback, and their top 2 receivers were out for this game, and they beat them 45-41. Like, just think about it for a minute.
I don't know.
But moving on.
Weird. It had just real quick. It's really weird to see the scores of, like, even of this game, 45-41. That's not an SEC type score, and we're seeing it week in, week out.
Yeah.
You say that, bud, but I mean the SEC is changing. College football as a whole is all starting to look like the Big 12, man.
But it wasn't last year. I mean, yeah, you had LSU's offense was killing people, but that wasn't.
Yeah, the defenses were much better. The offenses were the same, and the defenses were better last year.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Anyway, next game.
Next game, South Carolina came into Vandy mad as hell. They were tired of losing to Tennessee. They were tired of losing to Florida, both of those close games. And they took that anger out, and they did not slow down. They did not take their foot off of Vanderbilt's throat until the clock struck 0 in the fourth quarter. Final score, 41-7 South Carolina. Woo!
Now, that's a more of a traditional style SEC score.
Vanderbilt. Yeah.
Vandy's defense was getting really highly touted because they played so good against Texas A&M, right?
No, they didn't do well against LSU.
No, not that good. But they did have that real close game with Texas A&M. And I didn't watch the game. I know South Carolina's got a lot of good talent, but 41-7. Ooh, Gamecocks. A lot of sandstorm.
They weren't messing around.
A lot of sandstorm. Chicken nuggets.
I mean, it was at Vandy, but they were probably still,
They were playing it in their hearts.
So the next one, controversial ending to this game. I don't know if you guys managed to catch it or not, but I did, and boy, was I mad. The Arkansas Razorbacks versus the Auburn Tigers, and the final score is 30-28, Auburn being the victor, which is what you would expect. But let me tell you this. So Arkansas had the ball, and they were trying to make a final drive. They couldn't sustain the drive. They punted the ball to Auburn. Auburn went to make the game-winning drive to make a field goal. Bo Nix was under center. He was at probably like the 30, 35-yard line, something like that. He went to collect the ball. He bobbled the snap, fumbled the ball, then picked the ball up off the ground, turned around kind of towards where the ref was at, and then spiked the ball. When you turn around and throw the ball, what is that?
Backwards pass. It's a fumble.
Backwards pass. Arkansas then recovers the ball as the officials are blowing it dead, claiming that it was a spike, and then they're like, oh, no, it was intentional grounding. But they didn't even get a 10-yard penalty if it was intentional grounding. They had a loss of downs. Explain this to me.
I'll explain.
Arkansas should have won this game.
The refs straight up missed it. The SEC's even done worse and came out recently and tried to make some kind of excuse on to how it was okay, that Arkansas didn't cover it immediate. It wasn't a clear and immediate recovery or something. I would much rather them come out and say, yeah, we missed it. We're so sorry. Arkansas will do better. COVID. I don't care what you say after that. But Arkansas, yeah, whatever. Razorback fans, I would be like, I'm mad Tennessee lost to Georgia in that shitty game. I would be level 100 to get screwed out of a game. But having said that, if you're a real football fan, you know that Arkansas, you should have driven down the field and had a legitimate drive to win a game, not have some controversy go against you. So there's other things you point to. If you're a coach, that's what you look at. But
I agree with you. But Arkansas shouldn't have even been in this game, man.
Right. So, yeah, it's a really tough pill to swallow because you're not going to get it back. Never going to be counted as a win, even though it's absolutely a fumble. And how, as a reffing crew, you miss it? I would say there's millions of people sitting on the couches like, hey, that's a fumble.
Yeah.
And their whistle, it's dead. He clocked it. It's fine. What?
Oh, wow.
And he knew he messed up. He turned around and immediately, as soon as that ball touched the ground, like before the play was even over, immediately walked over and started pleading with the ref, started pleading with him, making his case. Yeah, like, no, get out of here, Dan. Let me tell y'all, though, I'm high on Sam Pittman and this Arkansas team. They should be 2-1 right now in SEC play. Only loss coming to Georgia, the game in which they went in at halftime winning 7-5.
They played real well.
So he's brought new life to this program. He's trying to rally the troops here, and I think he's doing a fantastic job. They may look a little better even next year. But Arkansas fans, like, my heart goes out to you over this loss. That was bull crap.
To your point, you can take a lot away from it. Arkansas last year was, in reality, they were a joke in the SEC. They were getting just trounced. They were getting ran over. It wasn't even close, any game. Right now, you're playing all these good teams really close. Should have had this game, or at least you were in the game. Probably should have won. Yeah, you got something called against you. You played Georgia extremely well. Doing great. Sam Pittman's a fantastic hire. So Arkansas looking maybe a little bit like they were in the 90s. Let's not get too crazy, but maybe. Yeah. What's the next game?
Oh, I'm going to save Alabama Ole Miss for last. So we're going to move on to Mississippi State and Kentucky. So Mississippi State, high-powered, gunslinging offense. Oh, we're spread. We're going to go high tempo. We're going to air raid. We're going to throw the ball. Guess how many points they scored, Queasy? Guess.
How many?
Guess. I want you to guess.
2 points?
2 points.
2?
To Kentucky's 24.
Here's
a playing baseball?
Better question. Queasy, guess how many interceptions Mississippi State had?
Seriously? Let's say 3.
6.
Shut up.
Oh, man.
6.
Man.
Did they have on matching jerseys?
No.
Jeez.
So
let me throw you this.
Yeah, throw it out.
Colin Hill, the running back that I'm still very high on. He's a fantastic running back, but the situation is just terrible. He rushed for 17 yards and received for only 79 yards. He was their leading receiver in the game.
He rushed for 17 yards?
Yeah.
That's like 18 more yards than Tennessee got. Ew!
Bro! Uncalled for.
Damn screen, Queasy.
He just muted you.
Hey, love you, bro.
Uncalled for. Okay, so both teams are now 1-2 in SEC play. Mississippi State, everybody was super high on them coming off that LSU win. LSU is now unranked and hot garbage. So I think you see the tiers kind of starting to separate themselves like they normally do. Except this year, it's like somebody took all the SEC teams and put them up in a jar and shook them up and just seeing who comes out on top and who's on bottom. Like it's not your traditional season.
It's a lot of craziness anyway. You know, obviously it's all SEC schedule, whatever. But all these extra coaches, all these different schemes, all this craziness that's thrown in anyway, especially in the West. But Mike Leach, after week 1, everybody was ready to say, including us to a certain degree, like, look at what they did week 1. Oh, my God. Air raid.
Yeah.
But what also came from that was week 1 tape. And then these other teams that have seen Mississippi State now, I mean, Kentucky does have a really good defense. They're really good, and they run the ball really well. They were able to control, a lot through the run and then just keep pounding it. But when you don't have any running game, you have no balance, you're just covering the whole time. You have no other weapon. 6 interceptions for Kentucky against Mississippi State. And that's ridiculous.
That's crazy.
You're going to have some kind of run game.
Yeah.
Mike Leach is going to have to tweak it a little bit to have any success. If he's ever going to try to push the big boys, he's going to have some kind of balance. It's too easy to scheme against one facet of the game.
It is.
I think I mentioned to you guys the beginning of the season, before the season even started, that you're going to see some huge upsets because of the situation that we've had. And we've seen numerous so far already. And we're in, as we said, what, 3 or 4 so far.
Yeah,
so
going into
we'll see a few more
coming up.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, our last game, speaking of huge upsets, we got to get rolling. Ole Miss versus Alabama. If you stayed up which it was real hard for us. We went to work Saturday. We were real tired. Yeah. If you stayed up and watched this thriller of a game, Lane Kiffin versus Nick Saban, man, I chalked it up to an Alabama win. I said, there's no way in hell they have no chance. Dude, this game was an offensive masterpiece of a game.
Yeah.
So let me say there was no defense anywhere. Like, they weren't even on the field. Offenses were just going out and playing. But the final score, which it's a little – the game was a lot closer than the final score indicates. It was 63 Alabama, 48 Ole Miss. And,
Wow.
man, down until that last quarter, man, down to the wire. Nick Saban was losing his mind on his defensive coordinator on the sidelines. He was throwing headsets. He was screaming. He was yelling. Lane Kiffin over here, like snickering behind his mask and being a butthole.
Saban came out later and said that he thinks Lane he said it real off cuff, but you could tell he was pissed about it. He was saying that Lane was stealing their signals, that he knew their defense before it was on the field, and then he knew their calls, which, he coached with you. He probably knows them.
Yeah.
I doubt you're changing very much. You're in your 70s.
Yeah.
You're an old fellow. But I also saw where this was like the highest scoring SEC game as far as total points.
Over 100
Ever.
points, yeah.
The highest scoring regulation game. We had that Texas A&M LSU 7 overtime game a couple seasons back that was wild.
Okay.
But yeah, Lane Kiffin, if anything, you see that the offense, like we've spoken numerous times about it before, that his offense, he is a great offensive mind, like him or not. He knows how to put an offense on there. He knows how to tear apart a defense. And Alabama for several years now has been suspect in their secondary, and he exploited it. And that Coral, I've been calling him Coral, but apparently it's Corral. I don't know.
Corral,
quarterback. And he's good. And we all thought it was going to be John Rice Plumlee. But, man, I mean, who knew that Corral kid is amazing. He can run really well. He can throw very good.
Mm-hmm.
And if they can get their defense shored up in the future, I mean, look out. Rebels.
And real quick shout out to Najee Harris, who ran for 206 yards.
Wow.
Man, that kid was on fire.
I don't know what the race looks like right now, but Najee Harris has to be at least in the breadth of it. I mean, he had 5 touchdowns in that game.
Wow.
Also, downplayed Mac Jones. Nobody ever wants to talk about Mac Jones, but Mac Jones played very well. He was throwing down.
He threw for 417 yards.
There you go. I mean, he played really well. Yeah. Not to praise Bama.
All right, Jeremy, you want to navigate us through this next week real quick, buddy?
Let's start. We'll try to go relatively quick.
And I will give you the spreads if you do not have those.
I don't have the spread, so that's good. I have the time that the games come on, and I have the channels in which you can watch them if you are inclined. The first game up, I have Auburn going against South Carolina at 12 o'clock noon on ESPN.
Should be a good game.
Mm-hmm. Both of these programs seem angry right now.
Auburn seems a little suspect, and South Carolina is really – like up and down with their offense and what kind of team they bring out. So I don't know. I could see South Carolina winning this game.
I think I could too. And Auburn's only a 3-point favorite.
That's crazy. I could see that.
I think I would take South Carolina at this.
Next game.
Shop it? No? Nobody?
I don't really want to touch it.
Yeah,
I mean, I've been doing terrible with these lately.
I'm doing it.
I would probably lean more towards South Carolina. They're at home, so if that means 20 to 25%. The next game is Kentucky at number 18, Tennessee, 12 o'clock, SEC Network. I'm gonna miss the game.
Should be a tight game. Both of them are on the upscale.
I think trying to take my Tennessee hat off, which is impossible, but Kentucky being so one-faceted, Tennessee's defense being pretty good against the run. We didn't let Georgia run, just ram shot down our throat or anything. I think we'll be able to corral Kentucky and correct some mistakes and be able to win by 13.
The over-under – or I'm sorry, not the over-under. The spread is 5.5 points in Tennessee's favor. And I believe I would take the over on that. I think things kind of get back on track this week.
Andrew's only saying that to try to smooth things over with me. I appreciate it.
Oh, no, I'm for real, man. If that offensive line can hold up, that's the big question mark. that offensive line, if they're as talented as you're claiming they are, and they have all this size and all this experience, they need to protect Garantano because he's not crap on the run. He's not crap under pressure. If you can just keep his pocket somewhat clean, then your offense will be clicking, man.
Not to get too much into it, but I'm just Garantano. I love him so much as a Tennessee fan, but I also hate him. And there's so many people that just tear him down on these message boards and stuff that Tennessee fans are crazy. And everybody just wants to see Harrison, Bailey, or Maurer, and I can't blame them. Anyway, next game. Ole Miss at Arkansas, 3:30 ESPN 2.
Should be a real good game, too.
Game, man.
Got,
a much better game than I would have in
point.
paper. If I see it normally, I'm like,
yeah,
a stinker game. But
Now
now
you're not turning this on. You're going to watch the recap. But no.
oh man, that's a
Now we have two teams that are just itching for something, man. Kind of like the Auburn South Carolina game, and Ole Miss is a 4-point favorite in this game. And oh man,
I would lean towards Ole Miss because of Kiffin's offense. He's real creative, and I think he'll find the holes in Arkansas. And I don't know if Arkansas's offense is going to hold up, but it's not like Ole Miss's the Rebels' defense is like fantastic.
No.
So, but I would give Ole Miss the edge. I would. I'd say they're a touchdown or better.
I'll take you a shot bet on this one only because I really believe in what's going on in Arkansas right now. Felipe Franks, I don't like Felipe Franks, but he's looking pretty good. And I mean, I don't know, man. Take me on this. We gotta get some shot bets going.
You're only taking Arkansas over Ole Miss because you love Sam Pittman.
I do love Sam Pittman.
He is doing a fantastic job, though.
You guys laughed at me earlier in the season for loving Sam Pittman. I love Sam Pittman.
I did. I laughed at you.
He's a big teddy bear.
All right. Next game, we have the LSU Tigers, your defending champs, no longer in the top 25, at the Swamp in Florida. The number 10 ranked Florida Gators, even though Mullen wants it to be a packed house, because it basically was a packed house in the game that they lost against Texas A&M. Yeah, so
can we talk about real quick how he blamed the crowd for his
pretty
loss?
much blamed him.
That is ridiculous. Get out of here. What kind of head coaching move is that? What kind of pansy are you? Take it on the chin, bro.
He said because the crowd wasn't live enough or something?
He said they were playing at Texas A&M. He said the crowd was too loud.
He was saying basically that they were over the 25%. And they did look like they were at like 85% capacity.
That's pretty over.
Well, they spread these people out a lot, and I think it looks like a lot more than it is.
I don't know.
No, at that Georgia game, they was on top of each other.
Well, see, I was thinking the same thing. I don't know. We need to look this up.
But I don't care.
We'll work on this.
Thing.
But I mean, seriously though, like that's what you're going to blame the loss on. Get out of here, Damo. Yeah. You're some trash.
Yeah, but looking at this game, Florida LSU, so they match up. They almost look relatively like the same team. Like, where's the defense? And they got a ton of offense. So LSU's offense isn't getting talked about because they lost. They're out of the top 25. Their defense is like gone. If I had to pick which one, I'd say Florida's offense is running better. But whose defense shows up to this game? I think that's the question.
Yeah,
so I would put the edge to Florida. But
I think it's going to be a big statement game for whoever wins. LSU, of course, looking to get a win and get into the top 25 again, and people keep on questioning Florida's defense, so it will kind of solidify either way. If LSU loses again, it will kind of determine that they shouldn't be in the top 25, and if Florida, finally wins, that of course it might solidify their defense.
Well, I had Florida winning this game in the preseason when we were looking at it, and Florida's actually a 14-point favorite in this game, but give me the decisive factor of Derek Stingley, who was the best cornerback in the entire nation last year as a freshman. Let him finally show up. Let him wake up out of this offseason slumber that he's had and show up and put a stop to this Florida offense. And we may have a little bit different of a game.
The cornerback.
Yeah, man, he was phenomenal. No, I'm not taking it. I'm not.
Come
no,
on,
no,
man.
no,
Don't be a bitch. Take that bet, bro.
I hate Florida. I will take the shot.
I'm taking Florida.
The cornerback.
You're talking about the corner being the difference. Like, put your money where your mouth is.
How do you measure that?
Whatever.
If he gets tackles, that means he's letting people catch balls. So, I mean, how do you measure that?
You measure it by that's what Florida does.
A win or a loss.
Yeah, come on, man.
Yeah, well, then you're betting on a Florida win, right?
I'm betting on the Florida win. You're betting on.
Oh, that's gross.
I hate the gross all the way around, but I need all the wins I can get.
Let's bet on the spread. You want to bet on the spread?
No, I want to bet straight up the wins, man.
All right. Give me LSU.
Spread.
I said Florida's going to win it in the preseason, and I'm going to stick to that. But just for the sake of the shot bet, I will take LSU on this.
Next game.
Boy, that's going to be it. Wonder what the over/under is on that game. Move on to the next game. I'm gonna look this up.
I bet it's like
$8 billion.
I bet it's like 65. The next game is Vandy at Missouri. Oh, hold on. It's postponed due to COVID.
Told you guys.
COVID takes another game. But you know what? Hey, I'll take it. It's postponed. It's not canceled. It'll be moved to another week. I think I thought it was postponed to December. I'd rather have this than not have any football. So it is what it is. Vandy and Missouri, you've got a bye week. Vandy, you probably need it to prepare because you got trounced. Missouri, celebrate another week from that awesome win.
Let me cut you off here. 71.5 point over/under for Florida LSU.
It's probably over. It's probably an over.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't think I would take the under on this one
That's
either.
ridiculous. What did the defense have to show up? All right, and the last game that we have for the SEC, definitely the biggest game, definitely the game of the week as far as SEC goes.
Wait a minute. You miss Texas A&M, Mississippi State.
Oh, I did. I skipped it. Sorry about that. Texas A&M, your 11th ranked Texas A&M Aggies at Mississippi State, 4 o'clock on the SEC Network.
6.5 point favorites, Texas A&M.
Yeah. Does Mississippi State's air raid offense bounce back? They had a great week 1, and then they've had 2 straight down weeks. Texas A&M's been very crazy hit and miss.
I hate to say this, but Texas A&M versus Alabama. Alabama, I'm not gonna say they run an air raid offense, but they are a very pass-heavy offense, and they absolutely obliterated Texas A&M through the air. I think Mississippi State can pull the upset here, but I think it's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on for sure. But like I said, Texas A&M is only a 6.5 point favorite. So people are still riding that LSU win as a high for Mississippi State, I believe, because they shouldn't be 6.5 point favorites coming off a 2-point game.
I want to see how Mississippi State responds offensively. Running this style of offense, is it a KJ Costello issue, their quarterback? Is he just making wrong reads? Because it's air raid, so you're throwing all the time. So do you have that many issues at your quarterback? He's your facilitator. He has to throw a ton in this offense. Is he just not the guy? I want to see what kind of differences, what changes they make. Are they going to try to run the football a little bit? Is he trying to put in a little bit more of a running package?
I mean, Colin Hill's a beast, man.
Yeah, he is. So I don't know. I wouldn't touch this game. 4 o'clock. What do you think, Queasy? Who you got in that game?
Alabama and Georgia.
Game of the week. Let's just pass it. Game of the week is Alabama, Georgia. It's probably the game of the week in any conference. It's in college football. It's number 2, Alabama versus number 3, Georgia. It's at Alabama, 8 o'clock CBS. So you get to hear those. I don't want to say those kinds of words on air, but
the players on the field cannot see the yellow line.
God, I cannot stand those commentators, man. Ooh, so bad. But anyway, you get it on CBS, whether you want it or not.
Listen. Before you move on to the actual football, I am so glad and so thankful that we actually have football this season that I would listen to Mike Tyson and Gilbert Godfrey call the game. I don't care. I have football. I'm happy.
I wish there was an option that you could listen to nothing but game, like the field sound. That would be great.
That would be cool.
I don't need nor want, especially when it comes to CBS, any kind of commentary. I can follow the game just fine. And I'm very close to muting it and putting on like the radio. I know a lot of people do that anyway.
Who you guys got to win?
You know who I got to win, bro.
Of course, Georgia. He's going to take Georgia. And I don't know, man. Georgia's defense is really good. Alabama's offense is really good. Alabama's defense is okay, but they're not good in the air. Stetson Bennett's not a great quarterback. It's a good matchup. It's a really good matchup. I want to see if Alabama can run the football because Tennessee sure as hell couldn't. I would take Alabama. I would say Alabama's favored probably by like
6.5 points.
Wow, I was going to say 2.5. They're giving them 6.5.
6.5. They're playing at home. You know, it's that home field advantage, and their offense is just like stupid. You know, and let's be honest, there's a bias within college football right now that favors offenses over defenses. Defenses aren't pretty. Offenses are pretty. People like offenses. They like shootouts. They like high-scoring games. I mean, Alabama's the favorite.
I would lean towards Alabama only because they're a more balanced, complete team. I'm not a huge believer in Stetson Bennett. I saw what he did against Tennessee. I'm not a believer in the mailman.
I like the mailman.
I know you like the mailman. I don't know. And I don't want to pull for Bama. I have nothing against Georgia, by the way. I don't hate Georgia. I actually like Georgia. I'd like to see Georgia win. So I'll root.
Well, would you like to take a shot bet on this one? Because I would love to take a shot bet on my game here.
I would not want to because I've already
Alabama
on Florida, and I'm not taking one against.
All right, write it down. Queasy said Alabama. Write
Alabama.
it down. Write it down.
Okay.
Write it down. He said some rammer jammer yellow hammer.
Oh,
I see all that.
There we go. Throw it up. No, but I'll comment on this one a little bit. Georgia has had 4 weeks with the Todd Monken offense as of right now. We weren't sure who our starter was going to be. Stetson Bennett stepped in. He's the guy. He gets the balls to the playmaker, which is really all in a Georgia offense you're going to ask your quarterback to do. He runs occasionally when he needs to, but it's not enough so that you really expect it. And he'll get a few yards on a surprise play here and there.
Hey, guys, sorry about that. We had a little technical difficulties. Andrew, you were talking about the game, Bama and Georgia.
Yeah, I'll wrap it up quick here. Stetson Bennett, he pulls the ball and can run a little bit whenever needed, but he doesn't do it a whole lot, so it's not necessarily expected. He can get a few surprise yards. The receivers are kind of very aware, which is something that I appreciate as a Georgia fan whenever he throws the ball. And if it's a little bit out of their range or if the DB or corner has like an advantage on the ball, they are pretty good about knocking it away. He doesn't have any interceptions, though he should have like 3 or 4 on the season right now.
He should have had one.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's good playmaking on the wide receivers. And I think that it's time for this team to step fully into this Todd Monken offense if you want to challenge the mighty Alabama. We have a much better defense, and if our front seven can get after Mac Jones and keep him uncomfortable in the pocket and not have to leave our corners and our DBs trying to cover these wide receivers, these insane wide receivers for 5, 6, 7 seconds at a time, then I think we got a shot at winning this game.
I'm going to go ahead and say that Stetson Bennett does not have what it takes to throw against Alabama, and I'm going to throw my hat into that shot bet if you'll allow it, since I wasn't on it right off the bat.
Take it, bro.
It makes me want to vomit taking Bama and Florida in shot bets.
Wow.
I just don't think I watched it. Stetson Bennett, even in that game, Tennessee didn't play that good a defense, and our secondary isn't that good. And he threw up some ducks, and it should have been different. And they should have picked at least 1, probably 2. And he can run, but not like great. And
I will say, I honestly, straight up, without a shadow of a doubt, think that Tennessee's defense is head and shoulders better than Alabama's defense.
No.
And I think that if we're able to make plays like that on Tennessee's defense, who was staunch and stout the entire game until the very end, until they just got absolutely winded, then I think that we can definitely do it to Alabama.
I'll be rooting for Georgia for sure.
Well, I appreciate it, bud.
Let's touch real fast on the top 25. I'm going to run through all the games just real quick. It's the top 25, so you got to talk about it. We're recording this Tuesday. Wednesday, there actually is a college football game in the top 25. So we almost have a football game every day this week. So Wednesday, you have Coastal Carolina. They're not ranked. At 21 Louisiana, 7:30 ESPN. Come on. Friday, you have actually 2 games with ranked teams. You got 14 BYU playing against Houston. That game's 9:30 ESPN. I don't know if we're going to watch that on the East Coast. 17 Southern Methodist. That's SMU at Tulane, 6 o'clock on ESPN. The Saturday slated games, you got Clemson against Georgia Tech. Of course, the one we talked about, which has got to be the game of the week, Georgia-Bama. You got Louisville playing Notre Dame. I will be rooting for Louisville hard. Can't stand Notre Dame. I'm right there with you. I can't stand them. And they don't play nobody. And they joined the ACC, and they still ain't playing nobody.
No.
Rudy.
All right. North Carolina ranked number 5 for the first time in forever. Number 5 playing Florida State at 7 o'clock.
People are calling this an upset game. Get out of here.
Florida State's been pretty horrible for a while now.
Hot garbage, man.
Number 7, Oklahoma State plays Baylor. Oh, no, wait, they don't. It's been postponed. Thank you, COVID. Yeah. Number 8, Cincinnati plays Tulsa. 12 o'clock. LSU plays Florida. We covered that game. Texas A&M plays Mississippi State. We covered that game. Pitt plays Miami. I'd like to see Miami bounce back after that tough game against Clemson.
They will.
Auburn, South Carolina. Auburn being 15th, South Carolina unranked. We touched that game. Kentucky, Tennessee. We touched that game. And then the last one in the top 25 is Boston College at number 23, Virginia Tech on primetime ACC Network, 8 o'clock.
That's your primetime game this week, ACC? Come on, guys. Step it up.
Yeah, well, the primetime game standalone is the Bama-Georgia game. 8 o'clock, ABC. So
Go Dogs.
That's what we got college. We'll see. I'm sure there's bound to be some upsets in there. I don't know if you would technically call Georgia an upset over Bama, but I'll be rooting for it. I'd say a lot of you will be too. The big bad Bama, hopefully falling. If not, we'll win some shot bet squeezing.
Real quick, I will point this out. If Alabama loses this game to Georgia, they will have lost their last game to LSU, their last game to Auburn, their last game to Clemson, and their last game to Georgia. Just
interesting.
Throwing it out there.
I did not know that. I guess I did. I just didn't really think about it because they went along. All right. So if there's anything to add, fellas, y'all got anything?
No.
Cool. All right. As always, go for 3. Let us know what you thought.
3, baby.